this?
Well, no, I was waiting for Andrew to come back.
Oh.
We were talking about it.
We're good. Shouldn't leave anything
Right,
out.
let's get this work session started. You run the work sessions. This is not a committee meeting.
Oh. Well, that's why I asked you if you want me to run it. You didn't say anything.
No, that's okay. You don't have to run it. I'm happy to
It's kind of your gig anyhow, isn't it?
Losing 3-1.
Alright, so we've had 2 handbook review meetings. What you have in front of you are the proposed changes that have come out of those meetings. One of the big things that we would like to add, or we've talked about adding completely new, is a paid pregnancy and parental leave policy. Right now, the city of Vinton does not have one. So it would give up to 4 weeks of paid leave for pregnancy, childbirth, or a pregnancy-related medical condition. And then an employee, like an employee who is not a female giving birth, could get up to 2 weeks of parental leave if their spouse gives birth, if they adopt a child, or if they get a new foster child. So that would be the big new thing that we're talking about adding, would be this parental leave policy. Beyond that, what you have in front of you, the red, in red are the proposed changes. We clarified per the request of the office staff, when a full-time employee's start date begins, because there were some questions from the office, right, for what the hire date was if someone transitioned from part-time to full-time. We clarified holiday pay, because there were some questions on if you get called into holiday, to work on a holiday, do you get paid double time or triple time? And then we clarified that you have to use your paid vacation in the year that it's earned, but in the case of hardship, you can have your department head carry some of that into the next year at their discretion. We have a different schedule proposed for vacation time that will be accrued, so you can see that in red. So we've just modified some of those days there. For funeral leave, instead of just allowing them to pull from their sick time, we've made it so they can use comp time or vacation time, so they can choose whichever time they want to use. And then we've been asked to talk about longevity again. If you guys want to jump in on any of those things, because I'm new around here when it comes to the longevity conversation, so, and I know there are more opinions than me who has none on that topic, so.
I would add on the longevity page that's in your packet, that section 4.11 is what's currently in the handbook. The only real thing worth noting there is the date. Talks about anybody that was employed before July 1 of 2021 receives longevity. Going down the page, I pulled the wording from the previous public works contract that's now expired, and the police contract that's about to expire. That references July 1 of 2020 as the date. But as Bethany mentioned, there's been a request to even consider removing the date period and all employees
Reinstating it.
for longevity.
Yeah, just reinstating it all together.
Nope.
You have more words for that.
Nope.
So the reason it came up is because the street department has 5 guys that make the same amount of money. So in order to get away from any ill will, at the 5 or 10 year mark, there should be a bump. So when a guy gets 3 years and a guy has 10, they're not making the same amount of money. So then this guy can say, well, he's making as much as me, have him do it.
And it's an incentive for him to stick around instead of job hunt.
No, I'm not buying that.
Well, I mean, we talked about it when you got rid of it, and you said you'd be open to, like, a senior equipment operator pay.
Yeah, and we can.
So, what's your proposal? If
Well,
it's
what's
not-
yours, other than just 5 or 10?
I had all kinds, I said, we can do a 5 and a 10 and knock off the 15 and 20.
See, my whole thing is, if you really wanna make it fair, get your new hires so they can't get a pay raise until, cause right now you're hiring everybody at the same rate as everybody else, right?
It takes 3 years at the street department to get to the top.
So 3 years,
Yep.
alright?
And the guy has 10 is worth more than, okay.
I don't disagree,
And so that's what I'm trying to bring to you.
but what's that bump up? We've already gave all your lead man, what, another 50 cents an hour, I think? Is that what
I mean,
it
that's
was?
up to you.
No, that's what we did give them, I think, we had that
$2 or something.
$2, yeah, something, it was quite a jump then.
And I'm not saying you can't have that because you can't have an equipment operator make as much as your lead guy. But I think I mean, it should be like the police were at a certain point to get a senior officer pay. I think we should have the same thing, just because we have multiple people making the same amount of money. If it was just one guy,
So what's your steps? What's your steps for that? That's all I'm asking.
for
I'm not opposed to it.
like the first 3 years,
Yeah. Longevity I'm opposed to. Giving your
Sure.
guys incremental bumps because they're got so much seniority, I'm okay.
right?
So,
What's the difference?
a lot.
Longevity and seniority, isn't that about the same?
Now, the cost of the city is gonna be extremely lot more with the longevity than getting some real bonus or their stuff.
Yeah, but it ain't very much each year.
6% of your base salary
On those guys.
every year that you're here is not very much.
We currently have 3 employees that are at the 6% level.
But a lot of them striving to get there.
Right.
We like it.
So, yeah, I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm just saying, you know, what would you prefer to see? Like, would you prefer to see it at like, I thought 5 years was probably too soon. 'Cause 3 and 5, I mean, but I thought maybe at 10 years, you know, it's 3% or a certain dollar amount and I'm not set on anything, I just,
Well, it does, it has to be a step. We're gonna have to determine that. 0 to 5 years, this is your max.
right,
5 to 10, this is your max, that's where you're gonna start, that's how it's gonna have to be incremental.
right.
And 10 above would be my guess, that'd probably be about it, because then you're probably getting
Yeah,
a senior.
no, yeah.
That's what
Yeah,
I'd
I'm
rather-
not saying
That's what
that-
I'd rather see, get another buck or whatever.
Yeah, whatever
that is.
whatever you guys feel is,
No, it's,
and
what
instead
all of
of
us
to,
feel.
So you're opposed to longevity on the schedule, but not something like after you've been here 10 years, then you get like a bonus at a percentage?
Not a bonus, you're just getting
Well,
more hourly
it's-
wage.
Okay, more hourly wage. But nothing that bumps up like 5, 10, 50, 20, like a one-time. And you had said you weren't opposed to that.
no, I just, yeah, I
Just you
think,
want something to
I think so you
incentivize.
don't have any sour feelings when a guy gets some years in and then a guy in 3 years is making the same money. I think it's easier for me to tell him, no, you're making more than him. Like before it was longevity, so you didn't really see it in like hourly wage, but it was just a set amount. So you need to go show him because you are making more. So if you don't have that, yeah, you can still say, go do it, but there's still some animosity there. I mean, Craig ran into it with Jerry and I'd just rather stay away from that if we can. I mean, if we can't, we can't.
No, I think that's the key, I mean, find your incremental steps and what's fair across
Yeah,
the board,
I
what
don't-
makes that.
And I don't know what's fair really. I mean, I thought 10 years was a good number. I mean, you've been there long enough, you probably ran pretty much everything that you need to as far, yeah, you may not be in the grader or the oiler, but, all the other stuff you should know when you show up, you know, you have to shoot it, you have to put boards in, you have to put stakes in, you have to, you know, that doesn't come right away, that takes repetition, so I'm not saying, yeah, just give them the moon, but at a certain point, I feel like they should get a bump just for being able to take those guys, even though they're not the lead guy. But still having.
Anybody who's been anywhere 10 years has proven themselves they're gonna be some sort of a lead guy.
Right.
Or s-
Cause that's what stinks, like, it seems like it always happens. Like Brad and Ripple were like 2 weeks apart. One guy gets the lead guy spot, the other guy doesn't, which is fine. But this gives that guy a little more just to look forward to, you know, when he's out, you can still say, well, you're not making that, but you're making more. So Mark and Trevor are like a week apart. Corey and Jerry are like days apart.
3%'s about 72 cents, and on the year, it's less than $1,500 for the 3%.
That's why I'd rather give them a bump in their wage, cause that way if they're working overtime or their comp time, it's gonna be more.
And I really don't have anything set, like, you know, I was just kinda going off of what you think's fair, I guess. I'm not saying it has to be, you know, $6,000 or something, just something. That's not a kick, but it's still a nice little something.
Enough to separate
So-
the tenure guy from.
So yeah, it wouldn't necessarily be called longevity, it just, I don't know what,
No, it's gonna be
I don't know what you
it's
call
gonna
it.
be an increase to their salary. That's how it's gonna be, I mean, that's how I think I should say it, that's how I think it should be.
Cause I would almost guess it'd be like our pay scale now, like, it changes every year. So like when you start at the street department, you start this, 3 years you get this. And then there'll probably be another section at 10 years it'd be this wage, or,
Yes,
yeah.
that's what I'm thinking too.
And then that just changes every year with these hourly things. Unless it's a set amount, unless it's like $1.
In 10 years, you get an extra $2 now,
Right.
whatever it is, whatever that number is.
Whatever that number is, yep.
Yeah, so if you're making 10 years, they'll be making 12 the
So
next
yep,
day.
if the top of equipment's 24, then at 10 years you'd be at, you know, whatever it is. And then that would just change, just like the wages would. Even if no one's there, you know?
What do you guys think?
I just kinda wanna see it like mapped out, if we get like a simplified idea.
And
10
then
years,
some options before our meeting on Monday,
$2 an hour.
so we can have something like that wrapped out. From a payroll perspective, I mean, you're already keeping
You know,
track,
I'll
who's been
give-
here how long, so
So,
I'm guessing it would be okay.
so he doesn't want 1%.
You guys have questions on any of the other proposed things?
I also wanna talk about the flex spending account too,
This
so.
would just be for
I think you can probably go ahead and do that, I don't see anyone.
Which one, I'm sorry?
This one, flex spending account.
So the information on the flex spending account, I just received before packets, or after packets went out, so that is the paperclip section in front of you. In meeting with insurance, point of contact Kelsey at PDCM, there's a couple options for flex spending accounts. If you're not familiar, it's allowing the employee to set some money aside pre-tax for dependent child care reimbursement out of that money, or to use towards their deductibles or certain medical related purchases, braces, etc.
It's super expensive, you cover so many things with it.
So, PDCM gave us two options that would work as far as providers to do that plan. The city's role would just be on the payroll side. We are not the ones they request reimbursement from, that's handled by a third party. We don't do any of that. The recommendation that PDCM had, and we agree with, is to go with the employee benefit system proposal, the EBS one in front of you. They have an office in Iowa, so you have someone local you can talk to with questions and contact. iSolved is a national corporation, so our customer service would be a little bit better with EBS. Tammy ran some numbers, those are the monthly costs in front of you. So the city has a setup fee of $600. That is assuming we're talking about medical and dependent child care. So a $600 setup fee. There's an $80 minimum monthly charge. So you pay per employee that's enrolled with an $80 minimum. So if you break it down, there could actually be cost savings to the city by offering this program, because the money that's put into, that the employees are electing to put into this flex spending plan is not subject to FICA or Medicare tax. So we're not paying that tax in, so there's just a few scenarios there. That 5% participants, we'd obviously not meet the minimum, so we're paying the $80 minimum a month. They each choose to put in $50 per month into their flex account. So we would be saving $19.13 in those FICA and Medicare taxes, resulting in that cost to the city of $60. If you wanna talk about what's our cost in offering this to the employees. The more people we have and the more money they're putting in, the more money we're saving on taxes is where we could end up saving money kind of inadvertently. The enrollment year for the flex program would run July 1, just like our health insurance year runs. If we're willing to enroll with this program and get it going, PDCM would come, they'd have an employee meeting, they would explain everything to them, allow them to make an election. They would do that through Bernie Portal, just like they do now with their own health insurance. And Tammy would start with the deductions.
Is there a big interest in this?
There's been interest, yes. Our cost, we can have 2 people do it, or we can have 22 people do it. There's not a minimum number of employees that need to participate. There's been a lot of talk about it. I don't know exact interest until we would sit down with employees at that enrollment meeting.
I think education on what you can use it for, because that's probably where you run into people not really being sure about it. But I mean, I think for most families, it's a good option.
I would venture to guess once all the employees are educated, they would be extremely interested in doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there'd be a big draw between independent child care and even saving money for braces,
Right.
quite honestly.
You can use it for your co-pays and
Yes.
like there's so much from just pre-tax, so I think that's just getting information out. I'm hugely in favor of this.
Yeah, the county offers it, and I do the maximum of $3,500 a year in flex spending, and it helps.
And in our plan documents, the city can decide what that max would be, because the IRS sets the max at 35.
Yeah.
We can set that max lower if we want. The dependent child care, you can only reimburse yourself what's in the pot. So if there's only 400 in it, you can only get 400 back in reimbursement at that time. The health flex is different. If we sign up today and you've elected for $100 a month, so $1,200 a year, you can get reimbursed on that $1,200 braces tomorrow. So there's a little bit of risk out there, until like essentially your contributions catch up. If that happens,
So the net cost of the city is the $600 setup fee. type people do it, it's $60 a month for the city.
With EBS, they handle all of the banking for it. And now I'm blanking on the bank that they use. I can't remember, it's in the Quad Cities, I think. As far as the holding account for all of the contributions, and then the reimbursements come out of there, they handle all of that. All of the reporting for that, et cetera.
What do you guys think?
I did not hear enough to.
You heard all that one.
If there's, interest in it, we can, put together official docs. It's not on tonight's agenda, but
Are more than Matt and you interested in it?
I wouldn't do it, no.
Oh,
I don't.
you guys interested?
Mike, I have my kids.
Yeah.
That's what I kinda like to know, what possibly could be the
I mean,
participation.
it's no brainer if people are interested, but
It's
Yeah,
not just for kids, I think that's the big need to order, I
Doctor
certainly
appointment.
yeah.
Both of my office
reach out to your
staff
folks and see if they're interested, 'cause
Yeah,
I'd like
that's
to
kind of
know.
been the problem, is they haven't, it's only been a couple people from each department, so we really haven't talked like fully with everyone, so. Yeah, we literally don't know if they're on or not.
Both of my staff are interested.
I would just hate to get it all signed up and then nobody uses it, and it's just something to practice.
I think quite a
Makes
few
sense.
police officers would definitely. be
Sounds like the
interested, 'cause
Is it okay for us to do that whole, go out and ask them, are you guys interested in a flex spending account? It's not like-
They've actually come up to me, some of them have.
I'm almost
So you-
positive.
Sounds like
This-
conversations have already been had.
This flex
And the
spending
interest is there.
can be spent on dental and vision, everything. With the county, you can go out and buy $100 of ibuprofen if you want to.
My mom used to be the flex benefits manager for Transamerica, and she'd have people buy mattresses, and, like therapeutic mattresses, and buy all kinds of, you can buy all kinds of different stuff. It's basically taking out a loan on your future paycheck
Yeah.
for medical purposes, or for child care.
Tax-free.
Tax-free,
Save
tax-free.
7.5% on taxes for just that money.
Right. Yeah, we want to gauge a little more interest in the numbers.
Yeah, that's,
Could
as
we
long as the
ask
interest is there,
supervisors
I don't
to
have a problem with
reach out to all of their
that.
staff and
So-
get a definite who would be interested?
Since I've worked here in the 8.5 years I've worked here, it's the one benefit that I wish we had, that I miss from my old employer.
Lovely, so you're gonna check that one.
Sure will.
Under paid vacation, 4.3, parent 2. The only question I have this is, other than you just got the discretion of the department head and city administrator. That should probably, as much as it should be you, you're not always a permanent fixture, because we could be in between city administrators. Should that be somebody else?
Could be city clerk.
Just something, yeah, something that we'd always, that we could be in between city clerks too.
Well, you would appoint an interim, hopefully, if you have.
That's all I'm asking, I didn't know if we'd get it, folks, that thing, all of a sudden say, tomorrow you say, I'm done with this, and we can't find somebody for 8 months,
Oh, geez.
you just never know.
Yeah. And I'm not that, but anyways.
I think the only time it's ever happened is when there's a flood.
What's that?
I think the only time it's really ever been a problem is if there's been a flood or something.
Like people unable to use their vacation
Right.
for work.
It's not like it's a big problem.
That was my okay, I'm okay with that, I just make sure the right people are there to approve it, so. All right, what's the other one?
Usually it's this department heads that approve it and then finally go.
That's fitting, how about the paid pregnancy?
Can't tell
Any
Might not be
problems with that?
pregnant.
I don't.
No, I think it's a great idea. Big supporter of that.
Our next handbook meeting is Monday afternoon, so we'll be just to go over what you guys are okay with, and Melissa will work on an idea for pays off for those 10 years or above. And a little more information on the FSA and find out the answers before we can move that. Should be able to wrap everything up with that pretty quickly. Yay.
What was the, I think I heard something about triple time.
Oh, there was because, you guys you wanna explain that, how your holiday works? What we were clarifying in there.
Yeah, I did see that too.
So like, if you have to work on the holiday when it's observed by the city, you already get 8 hours for that day. And then for working on it double time, you get however long you work, you get double time.
Been that way for,
That's the way it's always been. The wording was confusing because it almost was, yeah, I don't even know how to say it.
So you wanna change it?
No.
No.
No, it's just
I wouldn't wanna change it either.
Just clean up the wording, cause it was like 2.5 times, and then like, no, that's not right, it's triple time, I'm like, I don't even know anymore.
and your staff meeting, you need to clarify.
Well,
I think
it's
part of
part
it
of,
just
so
fine.
it gives you
It is
40
now.
hours.
Now it is.
So you get just regular time for that.
Definitely,
and then
same
when you
holiday
come in
triple
work,
time.
you get double. That's only one.
So we can't have
So
any
just
emergency
change that.
city observed holidays. If it's a snowstorm, it's just gotta wait till the next.
Yeah.
yeah,
I just wouldn't mind hearing the
I don't know.
number of how many dollars an hour that is.
Street time is 8.
Well, I mean, it makes sense though, because if they're
$75
getting,
an hour.
because they get their holiday pay, whether they have to, like, even if they don't have to work, so it makes sense that they're getting paid for it.
We're at 28.
I don't think too many of them are on this, right?
What's the mess? Quite a bit.
Yeah, you guys, there's the end of it.
Get the benefits wrapped up in there? Be $100 an hour. Except for that 100.
Should be.